The air in the sterile, soundproof chamber was thin and cold, charged with the nervous energy of impending failure. Dr. Eris Thorne, a man whose reputation was built on proving the human mind was essentially a glitchy machine, leaned over his console, the red numerals on the display ticking down. But no one, not the cynical Dr. Thorne, not the hushed graduate students in the observation deck, was looking at the numbers. They were looking at Ilara. Ilara sat strapped into a metallic chair, her head crowned with a cap laced with sensitive neural sensors. Her eyes were closed, her face a mask of profound, almost terrifying stillness. She wasn't just attempting a difficult cognitive task, she was attempting the impossible. A feat that had historically broken subjects, cost millions in funding, and, most damningly, had broken her 99 times before. What was the task? Simply this: hold absolute mental stillness for 1 continuous hour. No thoughts, no internal narrative, no emotional resonance. The machine, designed to instantly detect any significant spike in beta waves, the mind's busy chatter, or any flicker of alpha, conscious focus, would register failure with a jarring, high-pitched tone. Ilara knew the tone intimately. It was the sound of her own despair. It was the mocking echo of Failure 99. Her failures weren't simple setbacks. They were psychological torture. On attempt 57, the failure was triggered by the memory of a childhood song. On attempt 84, it was the brief, blinding flash of anger at the machine itself. And on attempt 99, she lasted 59 minutes and 58 seconds, 2 seconds short, when the single, agonizing thought, "I'm going to make it," erupted, instantly registering the spike of victory and triggering the catastrophic failure tone. This wasn't meditation. It was a psychological siege. Dr. Thorne's goal was to prove the mind was inherently uncontrollable, but Ilara's goal was to prove him wrong, not for science, but for salvation. Ilara's journey to this chamber was a secret, a private war against a mind that had betrayed her in the past, leading to years of crippling anxiety and creative paralysis. This experiment wasn't about science. It was about reclaiming the remote control to her own existence. The true suspense wasn't whether she could achieve the silence. It was what the inevitable 100th failure would cost her soul. Would it confirm her worst fear? That her mind was indeed hopelessly broken? The clock on the wall now showed 30 minutes remaining. Halfway, the tension in the room was suffocating. Dr. Thorne leaned closer to his console, a tiny, almost imperceptible frown creasing his brow. The neural readings were unnaturally flat, a phenomenon he had only seen in deep sleep, never in conscious awareness. He adjusted the sensitivity, suspecting a glitch in the expensive equipment. The readings remained flat. Ilara, sitting motionless, was an island of absolute quiet in the buzzing sea of the laboratory. The greatest suspense wasn't in her failure, but in the disturbing, profound absence of her mind's activity. For the first time, Dr. Thorne felt not skepticism, but a chilling sense of the unknown. Ilara was no longer trying to control her mind. She was somewhere else entirely. As the clock continued its relentless crawl toward the final minute, the silence in the chamber was heavier than any sound. Dr. Thorne had verified the equipment multiple times. Ilara's neural activity was flatlining in the conscious awareness band, a state previously deemed physically impossible. What had changed in the 2 days between Failure 99 and Attempt 100? Ilara had spent those 48 hours not training, not meditating, but analyzing failure. She had replayed the agonized moment of the 99th attempt, the surge of victory that had doomed her. She realized the fundamental flaw in her approach. She was trying too hard. Her focus had always been on the act of control, of suppressing the thought, of forcing the calm. The mind, she realized, is like a disobedient child. The more you scream at it to be quiet, the louder it protests. The pursuit of silence is inherently noisy. For Attempt 100, Ilara made a radical shift, embracing a concept antithetical to the experiment's design: absolute surrender. She decided not to try to control the mind, but to become the space in which the mind occurred. As she sat in the chair, the usual torrent of anxious thoughts began. Don't fail, remember the time limit. What if the machine breaks? Instead of fighting them, she simply greeted them. Hello, fear. Hello, anxiety. Thank you for visiting. She allowed the thoughts to pass through her awareness without judgment, without engaging them, and most critically, without the desire for them to stop. This was the breakthrough. The mind's chaos requires the ego's resistance to sustain itself. When the ego stops resisting, the thought, deprived of the emotional energy of the struggle, loses its friction and dissipates. She was no longer the warrior fighting the storm. She was the ocean that contained the wave. At the 55-minute mark, a familiar, malicious thought surfaced. This is pointless. You are wasting your time. Just quit. This time, Alara didn't scream at it. She simply observed the thought with a detached curiosity, thinking, "That's interesting. The mind is trying to stop me." Because she did not judge the thought as negative or wrong, the thought itself had no power. It drifted away harmlessly, like smoke. The countdown reached 60 seconds, then 30, then 10. The graduate students leaned forward, Dr. Thorne's gaze fixed on the display, holding his breath as if his effort could somehow influence the result. The clock hit 0. Instead of the jarring failure tone, the room was filled with a single clear, sustained tone of success. A calm, steady chime signaling the successful completion of the task. Dr. Thorne stared at the screen, then at Alara. She opened her eyes, not with triumph, but with a deep, quiet peace. She had not conquered her mind, she had simply mastered the art of not fighting it. The victory was not in the hour of stillness, but in the psychological surrender that finally allowed the stillness to occur naturally. Alara proved that the mind is not an enemy to be controlled, but a phenomenon to be observed. The ultimate power lies not in rigid willpower, but in the profound acceptance of what is. The story of Alara reminds us that our greatest breakthroughs often follow our worst failures. The true mastery of the mind is not achieved on the 100th attempt through greater effort, but through the realization of effortlessness earned by the wisdom of 99 failures. The only thing that was broken was the illusion that we needed to be fixed. If Alara's journey from failure to profound inner peace resonated with you, please help share this powerful message. Like this video, share it with someone who is trying too hard, and subscribe to our channel for more stories of psychological breakthrough.